Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Speaking Driven Business Livecast. I'm Joan Bowling. I am a member of the National Speakers Association, Virginia, and I'm today's host. And it's great to have everybody out there in virtual land with us here today. But I'm even more excited about our guest. Before we do that, let me ask you, are you an expert who shares your knowledge, wisdom, experience, expertise to help clients succeed? Then chances are you present to groups large and small, in person and virtually, in all different kinds of formats, whether it's as an author, trainer, coach, keynoter, or more. At the National Speakers Association, Virginia, we're all about being savvy and smart about building a speaking-driven business, which is why we love to have conversations with smart, savvy folks who are doing just that. So let's get to it and see what we can learn from today's guest. Today we're talking with the smart, savvy author, speaker, and friend of the National Speakers Association, Virginia, Jill Baughan. Jill, welcome to Speaking Driven Business Livecast. How are you?
Good, thank you. Excited to be here.
I'm so excited that you're here, but first, as you are a friend of NSA Virginia, tell us how you came to know NSA Virginia. How did we friend you? How did you friend us? Give us a little backstory.
Well, I got to be Facebook friends and got to know Mary Foley, who's quite active on Facebook. And then I went to a workshop in Williamsburg about marketing not long ago, and I was really excited about the prospect of finding a community who could share ups and downs of this business, because it's kind of a lonely road sometimes if you don't have a community. Lots of people don't know anything about the speaking business.
It is true. It's sort of like the Wizard of Oz. You pull back the curtain and ta-da! But when you pull back the curtain, it's all you.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely. So let's go back a little bit further, because you are a native of Bluffton, Indiana.
Right.
And I'm sure sometime at your point in your life, you were like, you know, I got to live in Richmond, Virginia. Tell us how you made the transition and what you were doing before you jumped off the deep end, just kidding, to be a speaker.
Well, I met my husband at Purdue University. He was in grad school, and he's from Richmond. So we had a whirlwind courtship, and I ended up down here because he was the one who had the job. So I ended up in Richmond many years ago.
It's always good to be able to pay bills, so kudos to that teamwork for both of you.
Quite the culture shock, too, from the Midwest to the South, so we have lots of funny stories about that.
Right. So for being here in Richmond, Virginia, then, your talents are in writing. Correct. And teaching about that. And so you've had and have had a long tenure with VCU. Tell us a little bit about that. Again, get us acquainted with your background.
Okay, I taught writing at VCU, mostly freshman and sophomore English for 30 years, a long time. Loved the students. Grading papers wasn't, quite as much fun as the students, but I loved teaching writing to those kids. It was a joy.
You have a great sense of humor, and you're very engaging, and I'm sensing from your website at some point in your life you had a Harley, but we'll hold on that for a minute. So I can see how you were a fan favorite among students down at VCU, which is great.
Right.
So let's talk about your speaking and your writing. Who do you serve? What problems do you solve? And who catches your ear and brings you in to speak?
Well, the tagline on my website is "Find joy no matter what," and that's exactly what I do. I help encourage and equip people to find joy no matter what else is going on in life. So recently I've shifted my focus a little bit, and I serve people who are going through a difficult season right now. So that can be, as I say, anything that's worthy of a support group. I can talk to them. I have talked to brain tumor support groups. I've also talked to other cancer support groups, caregiving, caregivers, older issues of aging to the older people themselves. Like, I'm not getting older by the day, but
we're all in that category, Jill.
Exactly. But anybody who's going through a difficult season, that's what who I want to help find joy no matter what. Which you sit and think about it a while and you think that's actually everybody's life.
It is
Right now, but I'm targeting people who are just especially going through that time right now.
And why that resonates with you is because if you can sort of share a little bit more as how you got into that lane, how you got into that niche.
My first book a number of years ago was about infertility, and it was not my first exactly, but a really good example of the time when we found out, oh, we're not invincible. You know, we were young. I lost my father when I was very young. He died suddenly when I was 10. So those two events have been pivotal. I have a lot of empathy for people who have just been through stuff, right, and realize that sometimes you can't control stuff. And sometimes people lose sight of the fact that there is always joy walking alongside the tough stuff in life. You just have to be very intentional about accessing the joy. Sometimes when people are going through a hard time, they feel like it's not there, it's gone underground, it's asleep, it's gone. Especially older people. People I've spoken in prison before, where people just have a sense of hopelessness and really low self-esteem, as do we all sometimes. Yes. And it is just something that resonates across the board. People really, really need encouragement to find the joy that's always there. It's always there.
They do need the message of hope, and good of you to bring that to so many different folks for whatever they're going through at this point in time. Can you share just a little bit how you push through some of those times to find your joy?
I have always been a very playful person at heart. And I will say, sometimes I tell a story about, and I'll abbreviate it for you all, but it's when I came to be the Chick-fil-A cow one year.
What?
I was at a basketball banquet and the cow came bopping through, and I said to my husband, that looks like fun. I could do that. Well, next time we were at Chick-fil-A, he said, why don't you go up there and talk to the manager and see? So I went up and I said, what does it take to put on that suit and just do a few gigs? And he said, what does it take? A pulse. That's what it takes. I got a pulse. So I met the HR lady who was taking the whole thing way too seriously. I got dressed up. I got the application, which was clearly intended for somebody who was an adolescent who was looking for.
Sure. Yes.
But I got my college transcripts. I dressed to the nines, and I went to this interview, and this little girl was taking the whole thing so seriously. At the end of the interview, she stood up and stuck out her hand and said, I would like to offer you the position of area market cow for Chick-fil-A.
Oh, area market cow.
Yes, that's what I was. So a year later, after I saw the cow at the banquet, the same banquet, I was the cow. I was peeking through the doorway waiting for my cue when all of a sudden I started the internal furnace that ladies of a certain age experience sometimes started up in me. It reminded me of the sorrow of infertility in my own life, because we did have one child, and but we wanted more, and it was just not happening. And I found out, as I tell this story to people, that everybody knows what it's like to want something that you don't have. Absolutely. And that when life deals you a hand that is not fair and you don't understand. So every time that furnace would heat up, it would be a fresh reminder that the answer is no, this dream is not going to come true. And I could not decide for a couple of years whether I was still a joyful person going through a season of sorrow, or whether I was turning into a sorrowful person.
Right, I understand.
Quite a big revelation right there. And I thought, isn't this a perfect picture of joy and sorrow together. Me having a hot flash in a cow suit. And
there you go. And Jill, I hope behind you there's a picture somewhere. I'm looking of you in
me in a cow suit.
I know we would all love to see that. So please come to the
Do you want it?
maybe a little bit later. Oh, you're going to go get it right now. Okay, well, audience, here we go. And the unveil, the reveal is a little bit higher up, please.
There with my mom.
Oh, that's great. And she was on this wonderful earth for 99 years, 99 years young. Very good.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing all that. And again, what a fun perspective into how you find joy, balance it out, go after what you need to help boost the spirit. Thank you for that. Let's switch into the business aspect.
Okay.
What you do. And again, a lot of great information on your website. You speak on a number of different topics, but you started speaking based on your book, or you wrote your book based on your speaking. Tell us a little bit, and what kind of speaking you do.
I started speaking after my book came out. The book is called Born to be Wild, Rediscover the Freedom of Fun. And I wrote the book because I found out lots of people have forgotten or are too busy or are too sad to have fun. So I started speaking on the basis of that. And I just never knew standing up in front of people could be such a hoot. But I wasn't talking about how to write a persuasive argument. I was talking about how to have fun. Who does that? Who gets to do that?
No grading of papers either, which is So you do keynotes, I guess, for short format or long, anywhere from 30 to 90 minutes, right?
Correct. I do workshops.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I teach a class. I actually developed a class for the Osher Institute at the University of Richmond.
Oh, great.
And it's called Born to be Wild, Rediscover the Freedom of Fun. So that's three 2-hour sessions.
2-hour sessions.
Weekends, I've done all kinds of things. So I can go anywhere from 15 minutes to days.
Wow, to days. Very good. Very good. Yeah, I see those eyebrows lifting up there. So can you give us the highlight reel from those longer courses? Mm-hmm. What someone could hope to get out of that? What you leave your audience with? What are the takeaways?
Sure. On Born to be Wild, Rediscover the Freedom of Fun, I take the first line of the song, get your motor running, head out on the highway, and we go through every stage of your life, childhood, adolescence, young adulthood, middle adulthood, and the rest of life, and talk about one key idea that you can use to eject more fun. And they're insights from all the me's that you ever were. Anne Lamott said it. I think Madeleine L'Engle said it, that you are all the ages you have ever been. So that you can access, I say, inside every 100-year-old person lives a 16-year-old.
Oh, absolutely.
People have just forgotten how to access that. We have all that at our fingertips, and I just help people to bring it up.
It's rather like you help them pre-program what's going on here, so that maybe they could be, as you say, more joyful, more playful, more balanced, and have the life that they want, no matter what's coming at them. And there's no end to what's coming at us. The respect for what's ahead, but also to know that you're still in there, that playful person, that joyful person, that kind of thing.
I love giving people tools, specific tools. So every time that I speak, people will walk away with a takeaway, something that you can do. Just that's because how I like to be taught. Right. Not just an idea, but a tool to do that.
Okay, very good. All right. So what drives you to do what you do now is based on your personal experience.
It is, and also my spiritual life. I always say God is my primary motivator. He's the one who gifted me with this incessant ability to amuse myself. And why not share it? Because the world is crazy and can have a crazy effect on everybody.
Yes.
I have just found lots and lots of joy, more joy than people know that is available.
That is fantastic. So probably a piece of advice is to start with yourself and don't prejudge others. Again, everyone is in a state of flux, a roller coaster ride, but you teach people more on how to go up for the build and maybe level out and not, or manage the low points is what it comes down to with that realistic expectations. Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about writing, which again, I think that is a talent for you since day one. And obviously you taught it and teach it still. You have one book out, The Born to be Wild. Mm-hmm. We can all hear that music running through our head. But you have another one coming out as well that has to do with 52 questions. Tell us about that.
Right. Well, and it's still in process. That's what my blog is for. I decided to blog a book. So I am just getting to the proposal stage now.
Okay.
So it should be coming out, but who knows when.
Who knows when. Well, since we're on a live cast, I always like to stick a deadline out there. So today is June 4th. I'll give you till the 10th. What do you say?
Okay, I'm on.
Wow. I'm just kidding, Jill.
I do have the format.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, I intend for the book to be a format of 52 questions.
Right. To
ask yourself. And I did write some of the questions. Questions like, when was the last time you did something for the first time? This is a book about adventure. So I define adventure as taking a risk to experience something remarkable. And it's just another path to joy. Right. What other questions? What do your negative circumstances make possible? If you were watching a movie of your life, would you cheer? What can you find by getting lost? What are you doing that requires faith? Who needs to hear from you? Is there a story you need to tell?
Wow. So
on the blog, I ask the question, illustrate it with a story, and include some humor just about every time. Right. And it's a catalyst. It's not an instruction manual. But you can ask yourself a question a week for a whole year and see where it takes you.
Right. I think, there's such comfort in the known. And there's routine, and I don't have to engage my brain or anything like that. But as you say, then the joy barometer is not as high as it could possibly be. And while days can be long, years go fast. And so what I see that you do then through your speaking and through this wonderful upcoming book is to be able to elevate some of the things to the top of our mind in any audience and say, is there something that you'd like to do that's different than what I'd like to do? And try it out. You'll have stories to tell. You'll have, I like it or I don't like it, right? So let's just see, let's throw this out to you. Do you have something on your list this year that you want to try that would be exhilarating and fun and very joyful based on some of the questions that you shared?
Absolutely. Improv. I'm going to take an improv course from Comedy Sports in Richmond. Wonderful people, wonderful it's a great way to spend a Friday night. They're not paying me to say this. I just love the place. They do improv for so many people, but improv is something that I think would help me as a speaker, number one. And be really fun and make me just uncomfortable enough because there's so much unknown. So scary. I know at the end of every course, there's what they call a showcase. And you invite your friends to come and watch you do who knows what, because, again, nobody knows how it will turn out. But, yes, improv is on my list. I love Whose Line Is It Anyway on TV.
I do, too. I love that show as well. So make sure that NSA Virginia is on your list. We will sit in the audience and cheer you on.
Absolutely.
Probably this summer, right? If you're just starting that.
It'll either start in the summer or in the fall.
Or in the fall kickoff. Okay. Make sure we do know about that because we're a very supportive community, like to support each other. And I promise you there'll be big smiles, laughter, and thumbs up all around. All right. For those that want to get in touch with you, give us a shout out as far as 2 different ways that we can reach you. How do you want to be reached?
You can go to my website, jillbaughan.com, and there's a contact form there. You can email me at jill@jillbaughan.com.
And spell your last name, please.
Okay, it's B as in boy, AUGHAN It looks like Vaughn, only with a B at the front.
Right. And there's a great photo of Mr. Rogers on there from the latest blog. And I got to work with him in Pittsburgh. And speaking of joy,
No.
what a delight. That guy, what you saw is what you got. And there is no finer gentleman other than my dad than Mr. Rogers. So his neighborhood is a joyful place. Even though Meow Meow Pussycat, I think, I'm not a cat person, but nonetheless, there was that little puppet there. So yeah, it was fun to see that and really it was like, oh yeah, we're going to get along. I see that on your website. So that was really fun to read as well. Well, thank you so much, Jill Baughan, for being here with us. And for those that want more amazing interviews for how to build your speaking-driven business, you can find them all at nsavirginia.org/livecast, LIVECAST. Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and leaving your comments, and we'll see you again next time. Take care. Thanks, Jill. Bye-bye.